Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we have some disturbing news again. Because when do we not have disturbing news? It's never always fun. Sometimes I think I should just go out, do some particularly great, more culture stuff. Because although it may be slightly fucked, it's not completely fucked to what we have to deal with reality. And most people can't deal with reality. But here at JM Reports, we deal with reality, and we have to face these things, ask questions, and see how we can actually fix these things. So, let's dive into it. Well, as you all know, as of yesterday, there is a outrage or a call to Boston Children's Hospital. So, we have that's going on. So, yeah. That's not going too great. We're going to get into it, and we'll also have some other extra information for you guys for what some people are saying and what people are not saying. So, yeah, we'll see what's really going on here. Boston Children's Hospital Delusion Harassment Campaign. Boston Children's Hospital has become the target of a harassment campaign based on the inaccurate information about its transgender surgery program. Hospital staff say the campaign includes aggressive calls, emails, and death threats for some providers. We are deeply concerned by these attacks on our clinicians and staff fueled by misinformation and a lack of understanding and respect for our transgender community. The hospital said in a statement, "We are working with law enforcement to protect our clinicians, staff, patients, families, and the broader Boston children's community and hold the offenders accountable." Boston police say they are investigating the reported threats, and U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts Rachel Rollins says she is concerned. People are permitted to agree or disagree, Rollins told Weber's Radio Boston, but when it crosses into the level of threats, that is when we are potentially going to have a law enforcement response to this incident. The campaign started last week with criticism of a video posted on the hospital's website about hysterectomies. Several conservative social media accounts shared posts about the video on Twitter. The hospital performs hysterectomies on patients 18 and older, but not on children, as some of the posts claimed. Surgeons at Boston Children's have said they would consider performing other procedures, including phalloplasty or penis construction, or on a 17-year-old male transgender patient, but hospital staff say that hasn't happened because no 17-year-old has met required legal or other criteria. The social media critique is expanding this week to include other hospitals that offer transgender health care for minors and the nature of that care. Providers at Boston Children's began treating transgender youth in 1998. The hospital says it is proud to have opened the first trans health program in the U.S. for adolescents in 2007. Hospital staff say the harassment underway this week is unprecedented. Oh my God. Unprecedented. There we go. God. It comes as more conservative leading states take steps to restrict transgender care for children and adolescents. Some Boston Children's staffers say the campaign is affecting patients who can't get through to speak to providers. Alright. So, I actually don't endorse death threats, but I do endorse everything else in terms of calling them out on their BS and what they're actually doing to children, because what they're doing to children is absolutely sick. And we're going to keep tabs on stuff like this. I know Libs of TikTok does a very good job, even though the media is trying to ban them, and hopefully we can win the midterms and absolutely reverse this type of BS across the nation. We need to make federal stuff to where we can ban this stuff outright, because it is absolutely sick. So that's what's going on, and I think that they're not being truthful, because I'll have stuff here showing to you exactly what's going on. Let's take a look. Let's take a clip from Timcast IRL with Libby Evans explaining exactly what's going on. Let's go.
Provide gender-affirming surgeries. Interestingly, there's one particular trans person who quoted Vice. Vice ran the story saying the far right's targeting the hospital, saying that the hospital says you have to be at least 18. And this trans person says that's not true.
Yes.
Came out and said, no, it is common to give 16-year-olds gender-affirming surgery. And then they mentioned that they got it and that they need to normalize it or whatever, because that's how you get treatment.
I can break this down for you a little bit too. I was working on this story last week with Christina Buttons, who wrote it and did an amazing deep dive into that for Post Millennial. And if you look at their documentation prior to when they changed it on the site, their forms for how to go about getting approved for vaginoplasties, chest reconstruction, and what's the other one? Phalloplasties, right? They have it all written down. So it says on their forms, to get a phalloplasty, you need to be between 18 and 35. to get a vaginoplasty, you need to be between, and you could look at it. It's in our story. We have the screenshots. It's to get a vaginoplasty, you need to be 17, between 17 and 35.
That would be the removal of male sexual reproductive organs.
Right, and the
removal.
reshaping of it into something that appears like that of the opposite
So a
sex.
17-year-old
And it
being
also
totally
says,
sterilized.
Yes, and it also says that 15-year-olds, you have to be 15 in order to get a chest reconstruction or a double mastectomy of healthy breasts. And what's particularly interesting is that they changed the language afterwards. The videos say exactly what they do. They also follow these guidelines from WPATH, WPATH, that say, and they say that they follow these guidelines, as do most gendery, clinicy places. They follow these guidelines that also say that parents, if parents approve these procedures, they can be done at younger ages. The doctor who talks about the phalloplasty or the vaginoplasty says that in some cases it can be done younger as well. So yeah, they're making this up.
So I have.
This is what I'm talking about specifically on how dark and fuck this is, and of all the stuff that's been going on. They go on more to say onto the actual episode, but you can go and check out Tim Cass-RL to actually see exactly what the full story and what's going on back there. Because Libby Emmons gives a very full, detailed information on what's going on because she has done extensive research on it. But we also have here with as even more important, it's also important because we have somebody called Christina Buttons, which is talking about this man and about this guy from the new NBC News article, and it's not seeming too great because she's showing exactly what's going on. So we'll get both of these things here and show exactly what they're talking about. So let's get into it. This NBC News article by Brandy Sakani, Brandy Zadrozny, is spreading misinformation. Boston Children's does perform genital surgeries on minors. It's in their own research paper and it was on their website until a few days ago. They also follow WebPath guidelines which allow it. So, first what we'll do before we go into her full thing, we'll go over here. New from me and Phil Muscombe. Anti-trans activists have reached a new they are targeting children's hospitals and doctors for harassment and violent threats. So, what we will do is that Boston Children's Hospital has warned its employees about the wave of harassment and threats and is working with law enforcement to ensure staff. The new wave of abuse amid at doctors at a children's hospital comes from a familiar source, a handful of anti-LGBT accounts like Elizabeth TikTok and far-right media personalities who have been behind recent campaigns targeting LGBTQ people, equating them with child predators. Twitter says they are looking into the newest round of misinformation and harassment targeting trans people, their doctors, and a children's hospital. While they do, the abuse will continue, the harassment audience and army will grow, and the real danger will increase. Incorrect. So, what he's going on to say here is that all this stuff. So, if we do this, type in here, because we're not going to go through the full thing here. So, if we do this here, and we go for a little brief of the revenue, which we'll only have to go through this, is that videos from the YouTube account of Boston Children's Hospital, in which several citizens discuss services provided in trans patients, were shared by the account to suggest the Center for Gender Surgery was performing genital surgeries on children. The videos, which have been since removed from the hospital's channel, included one titled, "What Does It Mean to Be Transgender?" and does not suggest such surgeries were provided to minors. Boston Children's Hospital houses the gender multi-specialty service, the nation's first pediatric and adolescent transgender health program, which has treated more than 1,000 families, according to his website, which means 1,000 families' children lives were completely destroyed and sterilized. Despite the separate Center for Gender Surgeries being with Boston Children's Hospital, treatment is only provided to eligible adolescents and young adults, according to the center's website. All genital surgeries are only performed on patients age 18 and older. Now, they go on to say that Boston Hospital said in a statement that the online attention was based on the incorrect statement that Boston Children's performs genital surgeries on minors and in connection with transgender care. For hysterectomies and other genital surgeries performed as a part of affirming care, Boston requires a patient to be capable of consenting for themselves. Age 18 is usually the standard age of a majority for medical decision making. Boston Children's does not perform the genital surgeries as part of gender affirming care on a patient under the age of 18. Which they are lying, because if we go here and we see exactly what they're talking about, which again, I will blow this up so everybody can actually see, it goes on to say, the center staff eventually came to the conclusion that it is inappropriate to offer vaginoplasties to certain individuals before the age of a majority so that they can safely embark on their adult lives. However, to address legal concerns related to performing vaginoplasties in Massachusetts minors, it was necessary to institute a policy requiring such patients to either have undergone fertility preservation or to seek out a court order granting permission for surgery. To date, the only family to which this option has been offered has decided to pursue the court order. Goes on to say, who is eligible for vaginoplasty? Surgery is never the first step in a gender transition. It is something that happens after you have learned to explore social and medical transition options. People who choose to undergo vaginoplasty usually do so after taking other steps into the gender-affirming process, such as taking supplemental hormones. To qualify for vaginoplasty at Boston Children's Hospital, you must be at least 17 years old and meet certain criteria. Who is eligible for vaginoplasty? Surgery is never the first step in a gender transition. It is something that happens after you have learned to explore social and medical transition options. People who choose to undergo vaginoplasty usually do so after taking steps in the gender affirmation process, such as taking supplemental hormones. To qualify for vaginoplasty at Children's Hospital, you must at least be 18 years old and meet certain criteria. Now, this is what gets even darker here, guys. So, stay tuned. The statement 12G. The adolescent is following the age for treatment, 14 years and above for hormone treatment, estrogens, and androgens, unless there are significant compelling reasons to take an individualized approach, considering the factors unique to the adolescent treatment frame, 15 years and above for chest masculinization. Unless there are significant compelling reasons to take an individualized approach, considering the factors unique to the adolescent treatment frame, 16 years and above for breast augmentation, facial surgery, including rhinoplasty, tracheal shave, and genoplasty as part of gender-affirming treatment, unless there are significant compelling reasons to take an individualized approach. Considering the factors unique to the adolescent treatment frame, 17 and above for medioplasty, arteriectomy, vaginoplasty, and hysterectomy, and frontal orbital remodeling as part of gender-affirming treatment, unless there are significant and compelling reasons to take an individualized approach, considering the factors unique to the adolescent treatment frame. 18 years or above for pallioplasty, unless there are significant compelling reasons to take an individualized approach, considering the factors unique to the adolescent treatment frame. Now, it even goes on to say with the vaginoplasty, because we have a lot of information here, is that surgery is never the first step. Blah, 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 blah. Age, you must be 17 and 35 years of age at the time of surgery. Hormones, you are required to be at least 12 months of affirming hormone treatment. Lived experience, you are expected to have been at least 12 months in your affirmed gender prior to undergoing general surgery. Smoking and vaping, you cannot smoke or vape tobacco, marijuana, or other substances, or have any other nicotine exposure for 60 days. Blah, 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 mask, hair removal. Patients must complete appropriate hair removal, laser, or extrapolis prior to surgery. A list of trans-affirming hair removal providers can be found at hair removal diagram is available on request. So, this is what they're talking about. It's not just 18 years old, it's 17. And here's the correct link in the first tweet is of the 65 double mastectomies performed on underage girls as young as 15. This is what she says here. So, the center staff eventually came to the conclusion that it is appropriate to offer vaginoplasties to certain individuals before the age of majority so that they can safely embark on their adult lives. However, to address legal concerns related to performing vaginoplasty in Massachusetts, minors is necessary to institute a policy requiring such patients to either undergo fertility preservation or to seek out a court order granting permission to surgery. To date, the only family has been offered to decide to pursue on court order, mostly because it pretty much sterilizes them. Now, if we go further into this, and for the record, Brandon D. Segona, we are not anti-trans. We are anti-medical transition of minors. To support these kinds of irreversible disfiguring procedures for children on bad evidence is reprehensible. And then it goes on to say, the absence of solid evidence, providers often must rely on the expert opinions of innovators and thought leaders in the field. And we go here with, they go, the trans-masculine youth, you have undergone young at puberty, commonly experience significant chest dysphoria, and may engage in inappropriate methods of chest binding. And it goes on to say, which binding with duct tape, ace bandages, and plastic wrap all can lead to serious medical complications. Even well-fitted chest binders are hot, uncomfortable, and make exercising difficult. Male chest reconstruction is a medically necessary part of a phenotypic gender transition for many trans masculine individuals. There are often arbitrary barriers to surgery, citing that youth need to be at least 18 years of age prior to undergoing this procedure. Providers should participate in the appeal process so that patients can undergo the chest surgery. There are currently no available data that report the positive impact of male chest contraction in minors, although a study is underway now. So they don't know this. So, we also have more people going on to say that all this is that you're a disgenerous tool, patient minor on surgery, date of surgery, and all this is where he goes on to say all this stuff right here. So, what we're doing here is that they're a thing for all this stuff, but this is what we would call not really good stuff. So this guy is kind of stupid here. So Tom Gray, you're an idiot. But we all understand what the truth is going on. But we'll go also into what she actually says with the ad she's young as 15, because we'll go here. Because we'll go into 15, and we'll do this. Age 15. It goes on to say, after weighing the guidelines and feedback from stakeholders, the center decided to deviate from the SOC and set 15 as a minimum age for undergoing a chest reconstruction or breast augmentation with surgery at age 15, only being appropriate for those individuals who have had a strong, consistent gender identity, and in rare cases, those who are significantly limited in life activities main presence of their breasts. So, they're not lying about this. We are seeing active information that they're doing this to kids of age of 15, potentially maybe even younger, but right now it's saying 15. These people are criminal. They are destroying kids' lives. They are doing surgeries that are completely horrendous, and you don't want to really see, I can't even show you on YouTube, because that would most likely get banned, of the things that they do to kids in order to do these particular surgeries. It's absolutely disgusting, it's disturbing, and these things need to be shut down immediately. People think I'm joking. I'm not. This is why we're trying to fight back against this. We have active information on how bad this stuff is and all the dangers that is going on. So, we have seen all the USC, as you've seen the USC guidelines for children, we're seeing all of this. It's time for people to wake up, smell the coffee, and stop these dangerous surgeries onto children. If adults want to do this, fine, let them do it. But keep children out of this. Okay guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, let's ban this type of shit from our country, eh?